Well, I'm going to start with Tania. Tania, Constable, Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Council of Australia. We heard the Prime Minister talking about, among other things, the budget. Australia has immense potential in rare earths and critical minerals. The federal budget contained incentives for processing critical minerals and for hydrogen production. It's fair to say the opposition is sceptical. I think we can safely say the Greens are going to be much more than sceptical about that. Are you hopeful that this is actually going to be delivered?
Claire, there's, I think, some good things that were in the budget related to critical minerals. We've got a competitive advantage in the resources industry, and I will say at this stage that we can take some responsibility rather than the fiscal management for the budget. The surplus has been delivered on the back of the resources industry.
Yeah.
Yay! But in terms of, it's a difficult environment we've got at the moment. In terms of productivity, investment in Australia. So it's understandable that some within the industry would be calling for incentives. So it was good to see that there were a number of things delivered. Streamlining of FIRB approvals, exploration, potential within the future made in Australia, but we've got to see the detail, particularly around production tax credits. At the moment, we think that it will be for processing and refining, but there's one major issue there for us, and it's got to deliver additional investment. If it's just about investment in what we already have, then it's a failure. It's like the car industry. We don't have any real additional value add. So I think the jury's out. We'll work with the government to make sure that we see the right projects coming through, and hopefully that will deliver additional investment at the end of the day. But importantly, fundamental issues really need to be addressed. Taxation needs to be addressed. We've got an arcane industrial relations system that has now just been passed through legislation. We've got difficulty in environmental approvals that are taking way too long, that need to be streamlined. And we've got energy costs that are way too high compared to the rest of the world. I think those things really have to be addressed, get the fundamentals right, and then the other issues like incentives will obviously be warranted.
Emma Foley's the Managing Director of Uber Australia and New Zealand. Emma, you probably delivered most of us here today, so thank you very much. But resources, energy, electricity is a big part of the future of your business. Why is Uber so keen to be a significant player in the energy transition?
It was really encouraging today to hear the Prime Minister speak so much about the transition to net zero. It's definitely a very important thing for Uber. We've got a global goal and a goal here in Australia to get to net zero tailpipe emissions by 2040. The reason that's important for us as a business, we obviously feel a big responsibility, and we know that because of the, outsized number of kilometres that rideshare drivers drive, we can have a real impact here if we get things right. In Australia alone, we've got over 150,000 drivers and delivery people on the roads, and so getting that right and getting that transition to net zero kind of humming is really important. I think when we talk to our drivers, we know it's going to be, that's an ambitious goal. It's going to be a journey. Two things we hear from our drivers. The first one is cost, and the second one is charging. And so we've worked over the last few years in Australia on addressing both of those things. First on cost, we've put $30 million behind subsidising drivers into electric vehicles in Australia, and that's something that's shown real great success. The second one is on vehicle access and kind of cost through that. We've had a big partnership with BYD here in Australia to give drivers access to up to 10,000 electric vehicles, and seeing the early payoff from that over the last 12 months. Charging is a complex one as well. We've got some partnerships with EVSE and BP Pulse to try and help drivers with charging. The great thing is, as you start to get these things going, you're able to also offer customers great products. And I think the thing we've seen, particularly here in Australia, our Comfort Electric product, which is our EV-only option, we've actually been the most successful country in the world for that. So really seeing Australian consumers respond to that and want those choices. the great thing is when you can offer those choices, that also helps get the flywheel going and get drivers into vehicles. So it's going to be a journey, but it's one that we're committed to, and I look forward to the road ahead.